back to the morning grind here at RotoGrinders.com. Once again, this is Dean filling in for Stevie. Stevie is busy working, knocking out his NASCAR content. If you guys want his NASCAR content, of course, you know where to find that on RotoGrinders.com. Today, we're doing a little bit of something special. Somebody's having it here in the DFS world, and we're going to learn all about them. We're going to bring in Gio Demers. You might know Gio better as RBX88 on DraftKings. We're going to talk about the heater in just a second. Gio, what's going on, dude?
Hey, Dean. No, I'm still in a little shock. Took me a few days. My adrenaline started to come down after the second day because I couldn't believe I did it again. But yeah, everything's been pretty good. Just hanging out at home.
Yeah. Well, let's run it down. Okay, you're talking about you've been just crushing the Million Makers of late. December 15th, you won $1 million in the NFL Million Maker. December 29th, you finished second. What happened? Just second in December 29th? You had a rough day, apparently.
Yeah. I was actually drawn dead on that one. I think I forget which one was that. No, it was the one after that. I'm pretty sure. I needed a 30-yard pass from Kyler Murray to Christian Kirk to win it, and he didn't get it.
Well, some guys have all the luck.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, you won first December 15th as far as the NFL Million Maker this past season. 2 weeks later, you finished second. And then January 11th, 2 weeks later, again, if the math is correct, you finished second as well.
That's right.
Yeah, and then you're talking about, you're referencing, you're still kind of coming down. Well, let's see. The MMA Million Maker, June 6th, you finished sixth. You didn't finish in the top five, not even on the podium. But most recently, I guess NFL is just not your specialty necessarily. You're all over the place. You specialize in different sports. June 14th, you were first in the PGA Million Maker. So that's 2 Million Makers in the last 6 months or so, 2 seconds as well. You got a sixth in MMA as well. So do you believe in heaters?
Yeah, I do. I play poker for a living. So I only got into DFS maybe about 3 years ago. And I just did a lot of research. I got the programs that I needed. I messed with a bunch of different programs and, figured it out and just did reading and kind of figured it out my own way with a little help from a few friends. And it's working out. So I was going to keep doing that. Usually when sports are going on, I don't play much poker. But during the quarantine, obviously there's not much sports going on. So I just been playing poker a lot, and now that golf's back, I'm decided to do some golf. I never really did golf up until, probably I did maybe a few tournaments last year, but I just started doing golf. There's no other sports, so I might as well, give it a shot.
Yeah, and you might as well win $1 million playing golf too. So that's good times as well.
It's that easy.
Apparently, I don't know. Yeah, there's one coming up this week. I'm assuming you're playing this week. You're going to fire 150.
Yeah. I maxed that out, and I a few other single entries and stuff, and then I maxed out FanDuel too.
Yeah. Okay. So you said you come from the poker world. Well, this isn't the poker world correct me if I'm wrong. It's math. It's all math based, right? I'm not a poker expertise, and I played, I dabbled.
I don't go so much on math. My DFS game is I kind of copied it from poker. I usually go by feel play. I just go in the space of the situation and kind of feel around the different players and stuff. And then DFS, I feel who's the right guy for that week. Sometimes I don't even go by projections. I just go by look for pivots or I go X the chalk. It depends on the matchup, depends on the weather, depends what they've been practicing that week. So there's a lot of factors and variables of what goes into my thought process every week.
Yeah. So before taking down these Million Makers, I guess you still are. You're a poker pro.
Yeah. I still play poker for a living. Yeah.
What do you play? Have you had $1 million tournaments as well too, or you're kind of a lower stakes guy, or a grinder, or what?
I used to play tournaments for a living. I got 20th in the World Series of Poker main event in 2011.
Nice.
And I did 2 more tournaments, but I play high stakes pot limit in Omaha now. So that's kind of my expertise. Usually a lot of people still play no limit, but I just play pot limit in Omaha and just cash games. I don't play any tournaments anymore.
You don't like high-low Omaha?
I dabble in it, but I just like pot limit in Omaha. I've been playing pot limit in Omaha since I was 18, 19 years old.
Yeah. You said 2011. I can't tell how old you are. We have video of this. So we're on YouTube right now. Of course, you guys are hearing us in the audio stream as well for the podcast. I can't tell if you're like 27 or if you're like 33. The beard is throwing me off.
Yeah, I'm 30. I'm 32.
Okay, I middled it. There you go.
Yeah,
that works. And you're still playing poker, obviously. You're playing poker as is these days. And
yes. I still play about probably 5-6 days a week. I still play. And
how you play poker, you've adjusted that. You kind of applied that strategy as far as how you play DFS and build lineups.
Yeah. Like with my construction, and everything. It took me like the first year I didn't do too well in fantasy, but it took me about like a year or so to kind of figure out like how to construct your lineups properly, and the models and projections, they all really help, and how you can like group players together and run people back and kind of make all these kind of filters to like how you want it. And then I just kind of feel on who I want to take that week. And I just kind of, pound them. Like when I won the NFL Million Maker, I told my friend, I was like, dude, I'm bombing it on Kenyon Drake. I like had a good feeling about it, and I took like 35% of them that week, and he was like 4% or 3% that week, and just because I'm like really a field player, more field than like by the projections, but I still let the models and stuff, generate my lineups and stuff with my my own adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, the running joke, of course, amongst people on Twitter is like, you make 150 lineups, you have every combination. How could you lose? Obviously, that's not true. Math says otherwise. But
right.
If everybody can do that, everybody would do that. But of course, that's just not possible. So you planted your flag on a guy like Drake. Is that something you have to, a really confined player pool, like some core plays you want to focus on? How do you go about making those 150 lineups?
Well, I usually do I try not to pick no more than like 4 quarterbacks a week. I try to stick within 4 and 5, because sometimes you have to take stands off like the chalk, and I like to sometimes take the cheaper quarterbacks and then pay up elsewhere. And it depends on the players too, who's getting the most targets. Some players I'll do lineups with with Mahomes I'll do Hill and Kelsey, and some lineups I'll do Mahomes to Kelsey or Damian Williams. I'll just have like a different combination. And sometimes with some certain games, I won't run it back. Like if there's a team where the quarterback distributes it through like a ton of players, I won't really run it back too much, because it's too hard to choose who's going to pop when he's like targeting, 4 or 5 players.
I'm going to get to that first Million Maker win in just a second. You had in December 15th, but take me through the first 2 years of kind of figuring it out. Obviously, you've had some huge success lately. You scuffled out the block. Like, what were you doing that was wrong that you figured out later that hey, maybe I'm just not going about this correctly?
I think I was playing too much chalk, and I wasn't stacking. I was doing a quarterback with one receiver, and then running it back, and then sometimes not running it back. Amateur, I think, moves that I really didn't know that I had to figure out. And when I would look at all the really good players and I would see the winning lineups, okay, look, this is how they're playing, and this is how it seems like you're supposed to do it. So that's what I started to do, and just kind of, figured it out from there, and, watched videos and stuff on YouTube, RotoGrinders, just reading.
Embracing correlation, I guess, is a big thing.
Yeah, basically, nothing, no reverse correlation. That's what kind of messes you up. For instance, like a quarterback that doesn't throw to his running back, it just hands it off. Like people would pair him with that running back. It's just not a good play.
All right, so take me through the first win. Are you somebody who likes to sweat your lineups? Are you just kind of you make your lineup, set it and forget it, and just go about your day? You play poker?
Oh, no.
How does this go?
I'm on Red Zone all day.
Yeah, for sure.
I watch Red Zone. I watch my lineups, see if I have to make any adjustments throughout the day. If I have 3 or 4 lineups that have sweats and with the same players, I try to, change my players around. And I was going to say.
Well, take me through that thought process, because that obviously matters, and you sort of figure out, you can kind of figure out who's ahead of you, who's behind you.
Right. I'll take a high variance play on a lineup that that's not as high. Like say if I have like a lineup with like 260 points or like 220 points, and I have a lineup that has 210 fantasy point lineup, I'll just take a higher variance player and try to swap out, and then I'll do that. That's what I did with. I don't think I did that with the Millionaire Maker though. With the second place, I did it though, and the other second place, I did it too. But yeah, that's pretty much. What did you want to talk about with the Millie Maker?
Well, just as far as your actual, do you remember the moment? You remember watching it? Were you chasing? Were you in front and you had to like kind of knock people off and hopefully nobody catches you?
Oh, it was actually crazy because I needed like everything perfect to happen because Chris Conley had 0 fantasy points going into the fourth quarter, and he wound up getting 2 touchdowns, and I think he got the 100-yard bonus. I can't remember. And I think he might have, because he ended up with like 21 fantasy points. And so that was a big, big turnaround. I just shut up the leaderboard when that happened. And then obviously having Drake obviously really helped. And having the correct D, the solid 13 points from Green Bay really helped too. And then I guess the big turnaround was when Higbee just absolutely popped when he was massive chalk. Like he got maybe 15 targets or like 15 catches. It was really insane. Everything kind of worked out perfect. Obviously it has to in like these Millionaire Makers. Basically what happened in the Rams game is I think CJ Anderson got a first down and the game was already over, I'm pretty sure. And they would have just I think because they would have turned it on downs, I think, if they didn't get they just went for it in fourth down, and they got the fourth down, and they just wanted to run the clock out, and they just kept throwing to Higbee, and he kept getting all these extra catches and, garbage points, and I literally won by like 0.16 points.
What's the sweat like for stat corrections?
Oh,
like you keep refreshing and like finalize this.
I was sweating I had to leave my computer for about 2 hours until the stat correction. I was telling my friend, I was like, dude, I hope this is right. I hope there's no stat corrections. And he was like looking for me and it's like, dude, it looks all right. I just looked at all of them. So I was pretty confident that, I had it in the bag.
Yeah, I just pulled up the box score here for Higbee, the game you're talking about, December 15th at the Cowboys. Like you said, they got ravaged. They lost 44-21, but who cares?
Right.
All those garbage time catches, 12 catches, 111 yards. Got, of course, that 100-yard bonus as well, too, so he absolutely smashed. And he was chalk, too. So sometimes the chalk is good. Sometimes the chalk's chalk for a reason. And, yeah, I guess it was good chalk that day for Higbee.
Right. And that's the difference, too, trying to – rule out the good chalk and the bad chalk. That's really key, I think, in DFS.
Is there a good rule of thumb in that, or it's just case by case, game by game?
Yeah, I think there's like say if like a team is playing like a bad defense and it's all chalk. I think that's kind of bad chalk, because any kind of defense can kind of show up one day. So everyone, like you don't get no leverage on the field when a quarterback is like 15-20%, you'd have to take 40 to 60% of that quarterback when you can find like a lower owned guy and take probably like 6 or 7x of him.
2 weeks later, you finished second in the Millie Maker. I mean, been there, done that. It's like, was second disappointing? Of course, math says that's still really, really impressive. What's second? 100K, 200K?
100K. Oh, there's also something I wanted to say about the Millie Maker that I won. So the craziest part is I made 150 lineups, and then right before lock, it was like 12:50. My friend's like, dude, I think we should play Winston, and I'm like, you know what? I think we got to throw in some Winston. So I generated all my lineups, and I handmade 5 lineups, and just put in my favorite plays.
Oh, so the winning lineup was a handmade lineup.
It was
second, basically the last 10 minutes.
It was, yes.
What was it about Winston that week? I don't remember who they played against. I have no idea.
I forget who they played, but Evans was out and Perriman was going to be really low. And so I just stacked that team up, and I didn't like the run back, so I just stacked them and then stacked Godwin and Perriman. And like, I forget how many. I think I did like 5 lineups. So I just stacked them and then kind of put in like the good chalk, and then Drake was my favorite play, and then just find some like flyers like Conley, and I got Green Bay. I just chose Green Bay D.
I just pulled up the box score. Actually, they won 38-17 at Detroit in the Dome. 28 completions out of 42 attempts, 458 passing yards, 4 tutties, and just 1 interception, which is good for Winston.
Yeah. He had a really good game. Godwin actually got hurt. He didn't even play the second half, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of a little nervous because I was like, it says 21 points from an 8K player going to hold,
Yeah.
Really
like I guess it works for you. It held up. Second place 2 weeks later in the Million Maker, which is completely insane that you keep on going this run. And then, of course, you finished second again 2 weeks after that on January 11th. So from December 15th to January 11th, you had a first place and 2 second places in the Million Maker. What do you remember about those 2 second places?
If you can you refresh my memory about the second place? I forget what who was in that lineup.
I don't have the lineup in front of me. I just have like the actual
okay. Well, I had a bunch of guys who I had a bunch of solid lineups with a lot of low guys that went off. So I just kind of chose for the late games, the 4 p.m.s. I just kind of chose a different quarterback and just kind of paired them. Just kind of get kind of leverage on the field because I really forget who was going to play, but I wanted to take a lower owned quarterback and that can pop. And it was Kyler Murray versus the maybe 49ers, I think. I don't remember, but I took out the quarterback that I had and I put in Kyler Murray to Christian Kirk. And Murray did pretty well, I think, but I just didn't get enough from Christian Kirk.
I'm pulling it up on the fly if you can get there fast enough. Oh, this must have been, let's see, was this week 17? Does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Week 17, let's see, Arizona. Let's see if we can get the. Yeah, they played against the Rams. I'm not sure if that sounds familiar.
The Rams. Okay, it was the Rams. I remember now.
31-24. They lost 31-24 in a bit of a shootout there against the Rams.
Yeah. They should have won that game too. I remember.
So talk about that as far as general strategy. Like some people don't even understand that concept of depending on how things are going in the 1 o'clock games, how you adjust your lineups of your remaining players in the 4 o'clock games.
It just really depends on who. It depends what I'm feeling really. At that time the Rams D is banged up and they're really overrated. So I think Kyler Murray can do well versus them. And I don't remember the other quarterbacks that were going, but he was the one that stood out to me the much that I could have a better shot at winning it than with a chalkier quarterback for the late games. So it really all depends what lineups I got going and how well they're doing. And then if I have 2 or 3, I'll change up the quarterbacks and sometimes I'll just leave it.
Yeah, and you got to love the upside of quarterbacks with the legs as well too. Or theoretically, you can put 2 touchdowns, into the end zone just on by rushing it in. That's for sure an advantage they have that many other quarterbacks just can't get there.
Plus the 100-yard bonus if they get it.
Yeah.
Rushing. So which Murray, right?
Beautiful. It's beautiful to make that work. But you won the $1 million, and you won the $1 million in December 15th. Was there any sort of extravagant purchase? Did you buy jerseys of any sort? Did you splurge or anything?
I didn't buy anything. I just bought a car. I'm really into cars, so I just bought a new SUV. That's pretty much it.
There you go.
I did just buy a house.
Okay.
I did just buy a house, and then a week later I win the PGA.
That's beautiful. There you go. Now you got your, your down payment, your mortgage, and you can pay the whole thing off potentially, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know how big your house is, but
it's I'm not too fancy. It's just a regular medium-sized house. Nothing big.
What state are you in?
New Jersey.
Nice. Is that born and raised?
Yeah. I was born and raised in New Jersey.
Are you a Giants fan? How does that work? Jets, Giants?
It's funny. I really don't have a team. I just like to follow it. I guess I'll be cheering on the Giants. I do like Daniel Jones. He's definitely a good quarterback for that franchise.
I guess it's kind of good though, as a DFS player, as a fantasy player in general, to not have to have that head versus heart conversation. I don't have a favorite team either. Play the best plays and don't worry about who
right, exactly.
emotionally rooting for. You finished 6th in an MMA Millionaire just a couple weeks ago as well. Do you know much about MMA, or you sort of looked at some content and kind of make some decisions based upon and talk to some people, or what?
I have a lot of friends who do it. I just like to. I was just so bored with nothing else. I just had to play, so I just did a little research. A big thing I like to do in that too is look at the odds and see, like, some lines are a little fishy, and then I like to stay away from them in DFS. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I just look at the odds and then decide who I'll take after that. And obviously the projections and the model comes into a big part. And then people make a lot of mistakes in MMA too. A lot of players will put the same fighter in the same lineup, and the same two fighters in the same fight in the same lineup, which is obviously the wrong play to do. But yeah, it was. I knew I couldn't. Well, the thing is, it was the last fight, and Nunes was fighting, but I couldn't see if anyone had me pinned. And they did have me pinned, and that's why I got sixth, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't win every Million Maker, no matter how hard you try, I suppose. And I'm a bit of an MMA novice as myself too. I'm just kind of dabbling in it now, and
right.
That's sort of. I think if it's the main event, you can stack I guess for cash, some people stack and you're not talking cash. Obviously, you're going for the top, especially in a Million Maker where the contest is. What is it, like 40% up top, 2.5 million as far as the prize pool?
Yeah. It's just the only thing that's kind of crappy about the MMA is that you have to be perfect in MMA. You can't have any slip ups, and it chops a lot in like the smaller cards. The main cards not too big. Maybe you can get like a 3-way or 4-way chop, but the smaller cards definitely chop a lot of the time.
The nuts is basically going to win every time. It just depends on who you're chopping it with.
Yeah. Like not in golf where you can kind of make up for another position. You have to be accurate in golf, but you can make it up for somewhere else other than MMA. You have to kind of be perfect.
So talk to me about this golf Million Maker. Are you just bored again and you're just going to fire at golf just because?
Yeah, I did a little research. It's funny because my friggin' core didn't even go off. I just had that one off, and I just got. Obviously, I went into the third day, and I was telling my friend, I was like, "Dude, if Jason Kokrak, what is it? How do you say his last name?"
I don't know, man. I'm not a golf fan. I couldn't tell you. I've heard Jason Day. You're probably thinking of a different guy.
No, it's Jason Kokrak. He was like 1%.
Okay.
He was in my lineup, and I don't know much about golf, honestly, besides that I just go by the projections and kind of go by what I'm feeling, And so he was in the third day, and he needed to go. If he went off, I knew he had a shot, and he wound up shooting like -6. So, and then I just shot to the top. At one point, I was in first place with like 4 holes left by like 20-something points. So I knew I had a really good shot at it. And then towards the end, my guys start to fall apart. And I was like, oh, my God, are you kidding me right now? So basically what saved me is Xander choked really bad. And then he needed par on the 18th to get the 5-point bonus. And he wound up getting it. So, and his first shot was really bad, and I was like, he's just going to rip it, and he's going to throw it right into the water. And luckily, he found his brain and just hit it right onto the green and got par, and I got my points.
Yeah, I was trying to follow this conversation here in the RG forums. They were talking about this, Charles Schwab, and you jump in there as well and kind of answer some questions. And they were saying, like, a lot of your lineups were dead. They weren't very good.
No.
You landed on the perfect combination. I think Morikawa was one of the key pieces as well, and you had 4 Morikawas out of 150, and only one of those lineups was good. The rest of them, like 3 of 6 or 4 of 6 got through as far as the break. So
right, yeah, definitely. The thing is, I had 12% or 11% of Jason Kokrak, and that's what I think what really helped me because he was only 1%, so I had like 10x the field on that.
And this Xander guy, again, I don't know golf very well. I wasn't following it, but I did see people like going nuts on Twitter, and I assume you're going nuts as well too. Like,
yeah,
it was a gimme, like a 4-footer or like a 6-footer, basically win the tournament. Okay, 3-footer. I can make a 3-footer. Sure. You can make a 3-footer.
Yeah. Even though I don't play golf, I probably can make a 3-footer. I mean, just think the pressure. That's another thing that comes to play. The pressure gets to these guys badly. Like, these guys are probably shaken, these guys who never won something so big before. So they're probably really nervous. And there you have it. Kokrak just like birdie after birdie.
So the moment when you see Xander, I mean, now you're live, you're excited, you're giddy, obviously. And I think it goes to a playoff, correct?
Yeah. I actually thought I lost because I was ahead by like 11 points or something. I was ahead by 8 points or 9 points. I forget what it was. And what happened is Justin, I think Justin Thomas, his name is. Okay. He bogeyed his last hole, which let Spieth move up a place, which got me the extra 2 points. Because if that didn't happen, I would have chopped it.
Wow, that's amazing. Also, you need every little thing to go your way.
Yeah, so I would have chopped it if that. But I had it locked up after the funny because me and my friend were doing the math, and we're like, I think you have to hedge on Berger. And I was going to get the bet in. I didn't get a bet in, and I wound up winning anyway when Colin lost. I thought I lost if Colin didn't win in sudden death or whatever it is. And so I would have won an extra, like, I was going to put 20,000 on it and on Berger, but it turns out I would have just won an extra 20 with winning the tournament too.
So I was looking at your average buy-in, and again, this is just as of like the last few months or so, or I guess as of December when RG keeps track of these things when you walk in there. Your average buy-in is less than $18. So basically your buy-ins, as far as I can tell, are you just mainly playing Millie Makers? You're not playing these massive, single entry contests or, 5K, or is that since changed? It's got to be adjusted.
I'll start playing the bigger stuff. I just never really had interest in playing the bigger buy-ins. I know there's a lot of really good players up there.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just stick to where I have a better edge with, like, I play like the 20 maxes, the 3 maxes too. Like during football, I played the 153 max, the $3 20 max. I do all those because it's obviously there's a lesser edge for the really good players in the maxes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I just I'll dabble in a couple of 500s in here and there, but I don't really need to play or have interest in playing the like these 3Ks with maxing out 100 whatever, how many lineups, like 80 lineups or whatever it is, like risking 100,000. I don't need to do that. I got poker. I do that. I can play completely conservative and find this out. I'm happy about it. I'm bankroll management,
Oh, it's not sexy bankroll management, but that makes and you've been playing poker for years. You understand the concepts and you understand.
Yeah, of course. And I know how fast it can go in fantasy if you start playing that stuff.
It can turn the other way, no matter how good things are going. Not that we're rooting against it, but yeah, of course, these things happen.
Of course,
there are good swings and bad swings. I'm sure you've lived through both throughout your poker career and DFS as well.
Of course, definitely.
What's next? Well, what's next going forward? There's an MMA Millie Maker coming up. I think when they have the first fights on what is it, Fight Island? That's going to be happening.
Is it a main card? Is it like a big one?
Yeah, UFC 251. I think there's like 3 championship fights. It's going to be the debut, I want to say, of Fight Island in Abu Dhabi.
That's not this weekend, right? That's next weekend.
No. That's July like 11th or something like that. It's a few weeks down the road.
Yeah. I'll be maxing that out. I think basketball is supposed to come back, right, at the end of next month, possibly.
That is the plan. We'll see. I mean, hopefully, yeah. They're still trying to figure out the bubble and all that in Orlando, but tentatively speaking, that's supposed to be happening. Do you dabble in baseball at all? Baseball, again, we're recording this on a Wednesday, and we're not really certain, but it looks promising, but who knows?
Baseball? No, I never did baseball. I love basketball. I love basketball a lot. I won a basketball too this season. That was fun. And that one, I filled up the lobby the year before that in a basketball one. But basketball is probably my favorite sport. But coming up, I guess, I tried NASCAR. It's gambling.
How's that going?
I like gambling, but dude, you cannot sweat that. It's horrible.
Well, they're currently winning. It says currently winning 50,000, currently winning $7. Like, what happened?
That's like golf. Like I went from in that tournament, I went from second place to 300th place, back up to second. So I don't know NASCAR. It doesn't really interest me too much. Just the really golf and MMA. Just because it's a little edge in MMA, I see a lot of guys make that mistake with the same fighter in the same lineup.
Yeah.
The same two fighters in the same fight in the same lineup.
I'm seeing by the way, I just pulled up your RG page and I'm seeing a big score January 9th. You won a $15 buy-in on DK, over 33,000 people.
Right.
January 10th, you finished second in that contest as well, I believe. And then January 14th, you finished in the 777. You finished third. So that was a pretty fun week, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, it was, when it's like poker, you get momentum going, you get confidence, you get good gut feelings about, the good player, the players that you should pivot to, or take a nice shot on some guy that's really going to be low owned. And if he pops, you're going to have the combination there with all the, basically if you have the low guy that pops and you have you don't even need like other low owned guys. You just got to have good, solid guys that do their job and get their 5X or 6X. And then you can kind of just make up for it for that low owned guy.
How do you handle making basketball lineups a sport that tends to be a little less variance, a little bit more predictable? Of course, the ownership speaks to that as well. Your general approach as far as making basketball lineups?
My general approach is find the players that get the minutes, like they're guaranteed minutes, not no guy that's like sometimes will play 10, then sometimes will play 30. It's just not predictable. So you just want to play the guys that get their minutes, see who the chalk is, and then I usually don't really like taking too much chalk in basketball, so I'll just find another guy around that price range and kind of go up like 4 or 5X on him, or like I'll just take the good chalk if a player is out, obviously play them. They're going to get the usage. It's about who's getting the usage when guys are out. I think that's really important. So I would just like make a core of like that guy and a few other guys that I have a good feeling about, or depending on the matchup or how they've been doing. That comes a big part into how guys are. I feel that guys are like kind of rolling, or if a guy hasn't popped in a while, it's a good spot for him to pop. So I just mostly go on those variables when it comes to basketball.
Yeah, I mean, minutes equal money unless your name's like PJ Tucker or something like that, which is always super frustrating.
me and my friend make fun of PJ Tucker. He's like, if you want to win a tournament, don't play PJ Tucker.
He's one of those guys that's a better real life, like helps his team out.
Yeah. He's like 0.48.
It's not
fantasy
good.
points per minute. That's just terrible.
Every once in a while, he gets that 3-pointer in the corner every once in a while. Every once in a while, kind of fall into that. But
he stands in the corner. That's it.
So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's actually only better when like Harden and Westbrook were on the floor, because he gets the assist to the 3-pointers. Than if he was just like, if guys were out, he just doesn't do anything. He's actually worse to play when guys are out.
It is interesting he doesn't get a usage boost with those guys off the court.
Yeah.
I just like talking about this stuff. I haven't talked about this in what seems like months. And
yeah, it gets me all warmed up for basketball.
Who's winning the title? You got a winner for me?
For basketball?
Yeah, one of the LA teams.
I bet the Clippers to win it all.
Why the Clippers over the Lakers, and I guess Milwaukee too?
I just think they have more deeper in the bench on Clippers than the Lakers. Lakers just have just LeBron and then Davis, and then they have like kind of like a lot of scrubby guys in there, I feel, whereas they got Montrezl Harrell, you got Lou Williams, you got them on the second unit. They can be a whole NBA team, just them alone.
You're not a Rajon Rondo truther? Not in 2020?
It depends what Rajon Rondo you're getting. If you're getting playoff Rajon Rondo, yeah, he can make a run at it. But if you're getting the I don't care one, he's going to probably do nothing.
Yeah, I think hopefully we get that series. I'm not really sure if they're matched up or that's the way it's going to play out, but that'll be a lot of fun.
That would definitely be fun. But who knows if I heard that if it gets with this whole new Florida thing going on, all these spikes, that they just might cancel it and start back in October.
I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, it's all sort of tentative and speculation, and it's it's just going to drive you nuts trying to speculate. But hopefully, we can get some basketball, and it'll be
what would you say is more addicting to you, basketball or football?
Which is more what now?
Addicting.
Oh, from a DFS perspective, I love basketball. And
Yeah.
it's a much more fun sweat.
Yeah,
It's much
yeah,
more enjoyable.
Yes, it is. Basketball is definitely the crack of DFS.
Football is just tilting because like touchdowns, it's dumb. Like the way how many points we give the touchdowns, like a 1 yard like run by some. I just think it's I understand how the scoring works and
Right.
you got to adjust to it. But I think we over like how is a 55-yard run worth less than a 1 yard touchdown? It's just sort of weird to me.
Yeah.
That's the rules that somebody made years ago, and we're all sort of abiding by it, and that's that.
And then some guy can just shatter the whole slate in football, like easily just take a 70-yard bomb and just get all the points at like min price or something.
Or two defenses, can score 2 touchdowns, and that's that.
Yeah. If a defense scores 25 fantasy points, like you don't need them. It doesn't. Your day's over if you don't have it.
I guess you can flip it and say, well, what if a basketball game goes in like triple overtime or something? I suppose that scenario.
You lose. There is 1 week where I had a really good lineups. And I think it was the Suns. I forget what team it was. They went into I think it was the Suns. They went to triple overtime, and you just stack that game, you win.
Yeah. I mean, I generally don't make enough lineups where I just stack like every single game. I know some people do that just because
it's only better on the 4 game slates or like the 5 game slates.
Well, why do you think that is? Out of curiosity, because I guess there's more players that are doing like they're hitting their quote unquote value in like 7 or 10 game slates.
It's just that and like if one of those games pop, you're gonna need to have that whole game basically. So like if it's a good game, high over under, I'm probably gonna stack it with like 5 guys or 4 guys, 3 and 2 or 3 and 3 or 2 and 2. So that way you have if you do like 50 lineups and then you have like all those combos, you just fill in the rest and you're on your way.
Going forward, is your wheelhouse going to be Million Makers, or I guess you're firing on a if it's a $600,000 contest, that's still worth your time and worth your attention, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, I'll still play everything I can. I'm playing a $3.20 max on Thursday. Like I'll be playing that, but the 500, maybe I'll throw in a few in there, but for like everything else, I'll just continue to play that. I really have no interest playing really high stuff. It doesn't really interest me. I just think that there's a lesser edge in that, and pretty much I think it's just like a ego thing when you play those big giant buy-ins like that. I rather just stick it to keep it simple, make my lineups, and play the best I can. And not the smaller to mid stakes. I'll do 5, but I won't do like 3,000 to 5,000s and all that stuff when they do have it.
Your RG profile name, Pot Ripper, they were speculating about this in the forums. I don't know about the history of this name, but apparently this has some history in poker, or is that an homage, or is it something else, or what?
So it's just a troll, basically.
Okay.
There was a guy back in Ultimate Bet days where I always thought about like what if someone was able to see the cards, and actually then there was a scandal that came out like a year or 2 years later, and the guy won the tournament and they showed it and he literally saw everybody's cards, and I just looked at his name, Pot Ripper. She's like ripping every pot from everybody, and it was just hilarious to me.
That's that's pretty wild. But I think wasn't there something recently? Correct me if I'm wrong. There was at least some speculation or like some heavy accusations. It was a TV show where this was happening, and maybe they did inside information with a producer or director.
Yes, it was I think it was the bicycle casino. Correct me if I'm wrong. I do not know. But it was this Mike Postel scandal where everyone thinks he had info on what was the winning hand and a bunch of bull crap. But I think it went to court and they tried to sue him, but they lost because it's all speculative.
There was no smoking gun. There was only circumstantial evidence, I guess.
Right. Like only poker players will understand. Like you can't explain that to like a court; they won't understand.
Yeah. Trying to explain to 12 strangers that probably some never played poker before and how to why you would never fold on something is probably
exactly. They can't. They just don't understand, and it's that simple. And that's why he's just probably got away with it.
What are we doing the rest of the day? We playing some pot limit Omaha?
I think so. My friend's I've been coaching my friend a little bit, so he's been coming over, and I've been coaching him for no limit. He's new to poker, so he's been doing pretty well. So yeah, I'll play when he usually played. I usually just play like, you know, high stakes Omaha, whatever stakes I can find. Preferably the bigger games. The small stakes don't really interest me too much.
I feel like it's a hard game to find. Isn't it a hard game to find, or it's a good one?
No, you can find it online easily. It's just that they don't run that often. So sometimes I'm getting stuck like $5, $10 blinds or $10, $20 blinds, but I preferably like to play like 25, 50 or 50, 100 dollar blinds.
Gio, I much appreciate your time. I congratulate you on your success. It's pretty
Thank
awesome
you.
what you're doing.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'll try to, you know, keep it going, and
hey,
you know, that's all I can do.
Anything else you want to tell the world? Anything else you want to tell the people? You tell your social media. Do you have a Twitter account?
I have Instagram. People can add me on Instagram. I don't have Twitter because it got hacked and I never made a new one.
So it officially got hacked. It wasn't just like a fake got hacked. It actually did get hacked. Like that does happen sometimes.
It got hacked and they changed my profile, the name of it, everything. And I was like, it was Elon Musk with like something name. It was so strange. My friend's like, what the hell? Yeah, it was so strange. I'm like, I just deleted it. But I do have Instagram. People can add me on Instagram. It's GD_MERS88. And that's my Instagram.
Awesome. Well, continued success going forward. Good luck playing your pot limit in Omaha.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. That was Gio Demers, right? Demers.
Yep.
Gio Demers. I was Dean. This was the Morning Grind. Thanks for listening. We're out of here. Holler.